Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another live stream. Hope you guys are ready for another fun-filled episode and ready to rock and roll and have some fun today. And talk about basically a topic that affects a lot of people, most people that come out here and want to live in Mexico. Sometimes it affects you a little bit more than others. Sometimes it doesn't affect you at all. But this is something that basically requires me to do a whole live stream and talk about the whole thing. So here we are. And I thought it'd be appropriate to, set up a poll. So as you guys are walking into the video, into the chat, into the live stream today, you guys can go on ahead and vote, whether or not this has ever been applied to you. And I also have a funny little meme up there, that will at least get us started, with the whole conversation. So just going to give a shout out to everyone out there and hope all of you guys are ready to have some fun today and talk about the Gringo Tax or the Gringo Price and whether or not it's real and how to manage that whole situation. So, welcome in. And all right, let's just get right into it. So shout out to everyone out there today, hanging out in the chat, hanging out, watching the video and getting ready to talk about this live stream today. Okay, so let's move on over here. Put some beautiful background there while we talk. Something a little different. So is the Gringo Tax a real thing? Yes, it is. Does it apply to everybody? No, it doesn't. How does it really work? Well, I think a lot of people just have a big misconception as to the Gringo Price. Because, I've already been out here in Mexico for over 6 years. And I've talked to, all kinds of gringos, a.k.a. expats, a.k.a. foreigners, whatever. Plus, I talk to Mexicans. Yo hablo español, es mi primer idioma. Hablo, fácilmente con la gente de aquí, and no tengo problema con eso. So basically, I also speak fluent Spanish. I speak to the locals, and I speak to the people out here. I'm married to a Mexican. I'm very, I'm as deep as I can get, for just your average Joe out there. I'm within kind of Mexican society and culture. I still have a lot to learn and further to go with all that. But with that said, I have, everyone's angle, to at least, start bringing some more light to this situation, because it really depends on who you talk to. Some people you'll talk to and they will straight up tell you that, yes, the Gringo Price is real. The people are horrible. All they're doing is looking, for gringos, to go after them and charge them as much as possible and yada, yada, yada. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. The reality is that it does happen, but it doesn't happen all over Mexico. Again, Mexico's a giant country, about the size of the USA. So, you can't compare what happens in Miami or New York to what happens in, St. Louis, Missouri, or Austin, Texas, or Portland, Oregon, or whatever you want to, you are in the US. It's all very different. Same thing for here. And on top of that, things differ depending on exactly what you're in these places for, meaning, are you in these cities, for tourism? Are you in a tourist heavy area, and so on and so forth. And, a lot of those things will also determine. So like right now, as you guys are seeing some images in the background of some of the hotels and resorts, okay, and some of the touristy areas, of Cancun or Acapulco or whatever. And in areas like this, okay, in many of the tourist areas all over Mexico, yeah, you're probably going to get overcharged. I mean, anybody. You don't have to be a tourist. It doesn't matter who you are. You're shopping or, living in these areas. And yeah, most likely you're going to be overpriced. You're going to get, that Gringo Tax. But it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a Mexican, that wants to live or shop in these areas. And you're also going to get that tax. Okay. And obviously, depending on where you are will depend on how that tax is implemented on you or not. It really all depends, on various things. Another thing is, do you speak the language? Remember, just like I was showing you guys here, if you don't speak the language, well, most likely you might get charged more. Okay, and there's many reasons for this. Now, again, especially if you're in a touristy area, simply put, if you're in a touristy area and you don't speak any Spanish and you look like a tourist, oh, they're probably going to charge you even more than what you thought that they were going to charge you. And again, it really depends on the area. Like if you're in, let's say, Merida, Yucatan, out here, sleepy little town in the middle of the jungle, sleepy little city, actually. But regardless, tourism here is very different than the tourism that you're going to find in Cancun. In Cancun, they're going to be harassing you and hassling you and hustling you, and they'll want dollars, and they're already used to a certain playbook or a certain kind of thing that they do in order for them, like a script that they follow in order for them to reach out to tourists to get the most money out of them. And so it doesn't matter where you're from. So even if you're in Cancun and you speak fluent Spanish and you are even Mexican, let's say you're visiting Cancun from another part of Mexico as a Mexican, you're still going to get that touristy price. They're still going to try to, upsell you and charge you 10 times the amount if they can for whatever it is they're selling. But as a Mexican, you can defend yourself a little bit more from these people. Just like if you're an American and you are visiting Los Angeles and you are, in Hollywood, right there where the Walk of Fame is, and there's all kinds of vendors and all kinds of people haggling and selling stuff to you. If you're there as a tourist from another country, most likely they're going to get you. But if you are an American from another part of the USA, all right, and you're visiting that part of LA, most likely, you're going to be able to brush a lot of these individuals off and not fall for that tourist trap, all right? Again, not fall for that tax. You're not going to get taxed on certain things for being in certain areas and yada, yada, yada. So this whole thing, there's a lot of variables to it. It's not just, the fact that, you're a gringo. Sometimes it has nothing to do with it. It's just simply the fact that you are in touristy areas. And most people that come to Mexico, they visit touristy areas and they don't leave that touristy area. They don't venture out and about, to go and see how Mexicans actually live and things like that. The further out you go, the more deep you go into Mexico, the less likely you're going to be suffering from that gringo price. All right. It's just the reality of it. But as I was saying, so, if you're in a touristy area, and depending on the touristy area will depend on, how aggressive these people are, how they're going to try to upsell you, sell you, scam you, whatever it is. Because, again, the mentality of the people in very heavy touristy areas is simply, you're never going to come back there again, okay? And even if you do, you're never going to see that person again, and they're only going to see you that one time, and you have enough disposable income, right, to come out to vacation out here. So they're just looking at you like a cash register that they can get money out of. Again, it doesn't matter where you're from. So if they're doing this to other Mexicans, they're doing this to other Latinos, they're doing this to all kinds of people, well, imagine, all right, what they would do to an American or a Canadian that doesn't speak the language. They stick out like a sore thumb because they look like a tourist, literally. And they're flaunting their money, their cash, and so on and so forth. They don't even know what the exchange rate is or what the value of the peso is or whatever it is. And in many cases, they're like, almost giving the money away to some of these vendors because they're like, hey, I don't have any pesos. I only got dollars. How much would it be in dollars? And then they'll charge you in dollars, and then obviously they're going to charge you even more. And then, even though you willingly, kind of and set this up, okay, with the vendor, later on when you go to, let's say, a Walmart, okay, or you go deeper into, the city or the state, or just, go where, where the locals are, and you see the same exact item that you bought only 3 or 4 times less, then all of a sudden, you get upset and you're like, oh man, I got gringo priced. Like, no, you got tourist priced. I mean, again, the same thing goes for even a bottle of water. Let's not forget this. You can buy a bottle of water, okay, for very cheap. Okay, this is in the US, okay, for very cheap in a gas station, okay, or very cheap at a convenience store or anywhere really. I mean, how much is a bottle of water really going to cost you in the USA? But, the minute that you step into an airport, now this bottle of water is like 10 times the price. The minute you step into a stadium, to watch a football game or baseball game or whatever it is, now all of a sudden it's like Himalaya water. You're paying like, $10 for the same bottle you paid $1 for. So, that's also a thing that you have to keep in mind. Okay, if this happens to people, to you, to just a regular old Joe or Jane in the USA, okay, and you can kind of decipher, all right, this is, when it's going to cost you more. This is why people try to sneak in, popcorn or chips or food into the movie theater or even the stadium, right? In order to not pay these crazy prices. Well, what makes you think that things are, not similar everywhere else? So again, if you already go through this, okay, on your day-to-day basis, just trying to go out and have a good time in the USA or Canada, if you go through this, okay, in the USA or Canada, if you go to touristy areas, all right, what makes you think this is not going to happen in Mexico? So obviously in Mexico, if you go to super heavily trafficked touristy areas, okay, Cancun, Acapulco, Mazatlan, I could go on and on. Okay, La Paz, Baja California, whatever. I mean, are you kidding me? These people are professionals and taking, taking that money away from you by selling you some crap. That's what they live off of, okay? I used to live in Miami. I mean, that could easily be Miami, you know what I mean? And I worked at that hotel or whatever, so even though I was a cook and a chef, all my friends, were out and about, working the front of the house, whether they were selling, food at the restaurant that was overpriced, or they were selling things on the beach, overpriced. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? I'm very well versed on this because I come from a heavily touristy area. So it's the same thing. When I used to go to the beach, let's say I'm going to Miami Beach, or I'm going to Progreso Beach here, it's the same exact thing, meaning I have two options. I can go to the 7-Eleven, all right, and buy my beer, my water, my freaking sandwiches, or make my own sandwiches and save my money, or I can go on the beach and then get catered, okay, on the beach, and well, it's going to cost a lot of money because now you're being catered to. Now you have a waiter that's coming to you and bringing you food or beer or whatever, and that's going to come at a super duper premium, okay? And at one time, things like that, were more affordable, okay, in Mexico, and most people would be more than happy, to pay that premium. It's not a big deal, whatever. We're on the vacation, we're at the beach. But now that the prices have changed dramatically, because of so many things, inflation, yada, yada, yada. We've talked about it on the show before. All of a sudden, it's not that accessible. And for example, many Mexicans, they themselves are the ones that are complaining a lot, more than even the gringos about these prices and these situations and yada, yada, yada. So again, if you're in touristy areas, like the beach or heavily touristy trafficked areas, it could be up in a mountain, looking at some archaeological sites, you're most likely going to get price gouged. Okay, it is what it is, because these things come at a premium, because you don't have access to them. So meaning you want water in a stadium, yeah, you can drink water from the water fountain next to the disgusting bathrooms, or you can buy a bottle of water for $10, or go thirsty. That's it. And they don't let you have your own water, so that's in the US, for things like that. So, but out here, I think a lot of people, when they talk about gringo pricing, there's two people, okay? The people that come out here like tourists, okay? And we already discussed all that, as to how they get price gouged and the gringo price, and the gringo tax and all that stuff. Because again, they don't leave the resort or the touristy area, so well, they're gonna just get upcharge on everything. But then there's the American, the Canadian, the foreigner that also moves to, let's say, Merida, Yucatan, or you're moving to Mexico, all right? And now you're maybe living with the people. You're probably, you're definitely not in a tourist area or tourist zone or anything like that. You might even speak Spanish, and yet you still feel like you're getting that gringo tax. Now, again, going back to rising prices, the reality is that sometimes you're getting Gringo Tax, and sometimes it's just that the price has gone up. And we've talked about this multiple times. So just like right now, you're paying a lot of money for just basic food services in the USA. Well, it's happening all over the world, and Mexico's no exception. It's still a lot more affordable out here, but if all of a sudden now, you're getting charged more than you were getting charged years ago by being out here, again, a lot of people just want to automatically assume it's the Gringo Price or the Gringo Tax, or they're taxing me because I'm an American, I'm a Canadian. They think I got money. They think I'm made out of money. But no, that's really not the case. The reality is that in many cases the prices have just gone up. And if you go on ahead and do your homework on whatever it is, whether it's buying solar panels, a property, buying pair of shoes, buying food, whatever it is, if you do your research and you kind of see what everyone's paying, or what other, the price compare, other stores, other services, other companies, other businesses, what their prices are. Well, that's when you immediately get that sticker shock, and you're like, oh, okay, there's no Gringo Price. This is the price. This is the price. Also, make Mexican friends. And if you make Mexican friends, you can also have these conversations with them, and they'll be more than happy to let you know if you overpaid or underpaid. Because sometimes, you think you overpaid and you actually underpaid, and they'll let you know. It's like, oh, really? You only paid 1,500 pesos for that? Man, they charged me 2,000 pesos for that, and I'm a Mexican. So another thing about Mexico is the fact that, this is a free and open capitalist system. It's not the crony, the capitalism, what is it, the type of capitalism that you see in the USA, where everything is just owned or run by a few businesses or a few corporations or whatever. Out here in Mexico, again, like 75% of the economy is the informal economy, meaning, okay, that it's just local, it's just vendors, people selling stuff out of their house. It could be food, it could be a hairdresser, it could be people selling stuff in touristy areas, whatever. So that means, okay, on top of that, they don't have rules and regulations and all these licenses and all this stuff like they do in the USA. So what that means is that they get to really set their price, okay, at whatever they want. And there's no laws against it. There's only one law. There are some laws against it. Meaning, if you have a business, okay, it doesn't matter what business, like an actual brick and mortar business, okay, and the price, okay, on, let's say you're gonna buy a book, okay, I'm gonna buy this book, okay, and on the shelf the price says $9.99. Okay, well, guess what? When I go to pay, it's $9.99. That's it. If all of a sudden it rings up and it comes out $15.99 and they don't want to, honor the original price, oh, you can take them to Profeco. You can, you can cause a whole thing. Because I remember not too long ago, I was actually at a store, and I saw a bottle of Jameson. I love my Jameson, so I bought a bottle of Jameson. I saw a bottle of Jameson for really cheap, because recently, Jameson, it's an import. It's an imported whiskey, right, from Europe. Anyways, the point is that when I first moved here, I was buying that for like 300 pesos. Recently, it's 500 pesos or more. I'm not getting Gringo Price. It's a tax. Everyone's paying that price. But anyways, I was at the store and I noticed that the price, the label, I double checked, I triple checked, for the bottle of Jameson was 300 pesos. And I was like, what? There was only one left, so what did I do? I grabbed the bottle, all right, and first of all, before I grabbed the bottle, I took a picture, okay, right there in the store. I took a picture of the bottle, of the price, of everything, all right. And then I put the bottle in my car, and I went to go pay. And when I went to pay, immediately when they scanned it, it was like 500 something pesos. I was like, no, hey, wait a minute. The price on the thing said 300. I was like, what? Are you sure? And I go, yeah, here. I took a picture. Here it is. You can go check it out. Da. And so, yeah, they looked at the picture, they saw the thing, they compared UPC codes, they sent somebody back there to check real quick, and sure enough, I was right. They had to honor the price, they had no choice, and I got basically a 40% discount, on that. But it happens all the time. There are certain stores out there that are notorious, for telling you one price on the shelf and then ringing you up another price, and it's your duty Duty. It's your duty in order for you to call them on that and say, hey, what are you doing? The original price on this was 10 pesos. Why are you charging me 15 pesos? Okay? And then they'll honor it. They have to honor it. Otherwise, then you can go after them with Profeco and sue them and yada, yada, yada. And that's the last thing they need, because Profeco is kind of like a big government entity. And if they're coming into your store, even if it's a big corporate store, they'll close down the whole freaking store just because of one price inconsistency. But going back to the informal economy of what Mexico is, 75% of Mexicans, they just sell things on the street, and they don't have to deal with Profeco. They don't have to deal with any government agency, meaning that they can sell you anything at any price. And again, it's up to you whether you're going to buy it or not. All right. And you really have no leg to stand on. If they sell you something and it's crap, well, you're on your own. So it's things like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot more of a hands-on situation out here, where you got to be on top of all these things, more on a regular basis, so that these things don't happen to you. We're going to give you more examples. I'm going to talk more about that. But that's one of the ways that you can avoid these things. And it's not a gringo tax. It's just, again, a tax that happens to everyone. Now, the thing is that most Mexicans, they're already very used to these tactics and these situations. So they're watching that constantly, and they're calling them out, and they're demanding, the thing to be fixed, and yada, yada, yada. And they have, more of a way to combat this, okay? Because they're used to it. But a typical American or Canadian that is not used to something like this, again, these are the things that, start driving you crazy and start, making you think, about how corrupt and horrible things are out here. Yeah, things are corrupt out here, but things are corrupt back in your home country. And if we're comparing corruptions here, what are they doing here? They're nickel and diming you, the stupid store, the corporation is trying to, nickel and dime you here, as opposed to, well, I don't, let's not talk about authority and what the authority figures in other countries are doing to you right now. So, it's just things like that. So, when you are out on the street and you're dealing with a street vendor, whether you're in a tourist zone or not, okay, it really all depends on you and how you act, and many other, variables about you as to what they're going to really charge you. If you are, you're just in a regular, normal part of Mexico, not in a touristy area, or even, close to a touristy area, but still not in the actual touristy area, well, then guess what? You know what I mean? Like, most of the time, if you are, again, no matter how American or gringo or no matter how you look, and no matter how much of a sore thumb you look like and stick out, they're going to treat you pretty equally, okay? Because I've seen this with my own eyes, all right? And I've seen it multiple times, and sometimes I do try to raise the price, but it really just depends. The thing is that, when you're going to, let's say, the market, well, guess what? There's a bunch of vendors selling a lot of the same things, and they're just trying to get you to buy the mango, okay, or the sandwich, or the juice. Or you just like to look at everybody else. They're gonna, if a bunch of bananas is only worth 20 pesos, they're gonna charge you 20 pesos. They might charge you 18 pesos because they want you to purchase from them, and purchase from them continuously, consistently, okay? Because they know that there's a bunch of other vendors selling bananas. And they don't want you to know if maybe one of those vendors is selling it at 15, okay? Or maybe they're selling it at 25. It's things like that. So you gotta not haggle per se, but you gotta shop around. And you gotta see who has the best prices, not just the best prices, but the best quality of the product of whatever it is you're buying, the meat, the vegetables, the fruits, the whatever it is. And, the more you're in with the people, the less likely that they're gonna overcharge you. Now, if you are in a market, you're not speaking any Spanish, or at least making no attempt to speak Spanish, you look like a tourist because you got the whole tourist getup, all right? Then, for reals. If you go to the wrong stand, the wrong place, they're going to beyond overcharge you, okay? And then because they know that there's nothing you can do about it. You're just a dumb tourist that's stuck there. And they're just a, crafty, hustle in a bad way type of business person that they're trying to hustle everybody. And they see, someone like you walk in, they're like, oh, they're licking their chops. That happens anywhere and everywhere. Again, if you go to the flea market in your own neighborhood in the USA or Canada, the prices are all going to depend on how you look, how you present yourself, and how you can maybe haggle and yada, yada, yada. So it's the same kind of thing here. So what happens is that, a lot of times, we, as, foreigners, as Americans, Canadians, whatever, we come out here and we, for whatever reason, don't take into account, okay, the fact that, these people are also trying to make money. And if they, for example, the Gringo Price can also come not just in these one-time encounters, but let's say that you have a handyman or you have a cleaning lady, okay, and things like that. And so sometimes what happens is that you hire somebody, let's say a cleaning lady or a handyman, and you pay them well. They might ask you for 300 pesos. You might give them 350 or 400. Or you might give them the 300 plus you give them a ride home. You give them a meal. You give them, you treat them nice. You do all this stuff. So sometimes they do great and, they're going to be there for a long time. But other times, eventually, they start slacking or they start charging you a little more. Because especially if you're giving them a little bit more money, they're like, this guy has money to give out. So instead of charging him 300, I'll charge him 400. I mean, he's already giving me 400 anyway. So if I charge him 400, maybe he'll give me 500. And, it's not just about the charging, but then on top of that, they might not be doing such a good job anymore. Instead of doing a better job every time they come, sometimes they might start slacking. And all of a sudden, the cleaning lady, once she leaves, you put your fingers over the whatever and you see dust. The handyman, he's not doing the job properly like he used to, and so on and so forth. And so that pisses you off, and then you start thinking, oh, they're taking advantage of me, they're Gringo pricing me, yada, yada, yada. But the reality is that that's how they'll treat everybody, okay? Now, Mexicans, okay, that hire some of these people, the reality is that a lot of people, a lot of Mexicans, they'll treat these workers, the help, okay? Remember, the help, all right? They'll treat them like crap, okay? They'll treat them like poo-poo, okay? And, after you're living here for a long time, you realize why that might happen. It's because if they're not stern and direct and, treat them like poo-poo, then they're just going to do whatever they want. And again, many Mexicans have to deal with this. Now, I'm speaking from Mérida, Yucatan. It seems like in this area, it's a lot more prevalent than in other parts of Mexico because many Mexicans complain about that out here as well. Basically the fact that, you'll hire some help. They'll do, a great job a few times. And then before you know it, they're overcharging you and they're doing a crap job. And you got to get somebody else. And you got to get somebody else. And you got to get somebody else until eventually you're like, you know what? I just do it myself. All right. Because a lot of Mexicans that have moved out here to this region have complained about this a lot. But I know this happens, okay, in other parts of Mexico. Not all parts, not everywhere. But this is something that you also have to keep an eye on. But again, now you see why some Mexicans treat the lower class Mexicans or the help, a little crappy or very crappy, because it's to make sure that, they are kept in line, again, according to their mentality, sorry, I thought I lost some connection there. Anyways, to keep them in line in order for them to not slack, okay? And so, meaning that like a Mexican that hires, a cleaning lady, she might literally, before she even pays the cleaning lady, she'll go around the house and she'll be like, why is there dust here? Why is this bathroom not dirty? Why is this like this? You know what? Fix it, clean it up correctly, or you're not getting paid. That kind of stuff. And these people are, poor, whatever. So they really got nothing, they can't fight this, And at the end of the day, they didn't do their job. So they got to go on ahead and do the job. So a Mexican that works for another Mexican, they already kind of know this. So, well, they do a better job for the Mexican, knowing fully well that there's consequences to be paid if they don't do a good job. But for us that come from the USA or Canada, we don't do that. We're a little nicer. We're a lot nicer. And even if we wanted to be mean, we don't really know how to, many of you guys, don't know how to really reciprocate exactly what it is you need to be, to tell these people in order for these things not to happen again. And on top of that, again, if a Mexican, yells at another Mexican for doing a shitty job, well, that's one situation. But if now a gringo is yelling at a Mexican for not doing a good job, that's another thing. And so it's all these intricacies, all these things that, it's like a juggling game. It's not as easy as one might think right off the bat. And this affects me. Okay, and I understand I'm a gringo to some people, out here. But this also happens to my wife. Okay, you guys have seen my wife. She's a tiny Mexican, brown, speaks Spanish, all right? And this happens to her. This happens to her, and she's been in Mexico her whole life. And this happens to other Mexicans. And so that's the thing. I think that a lot of Americans or Canadians, they come from a culture of the world revolves around me. And so when they come to Mexico and something happens to them, well, it's because everybody is against me. All these Mexicans are against me. All these Mexicans are gringo pricing me. Oh my God, why are they treating me so bad? Why are they laughing at me? Why are they this? Why are they that? And they just don't understand the culture. They refuse to understand how things work out here. They want things to be the same as they were back home, knowing full well that they're not going to be the same because you're not back home, you're in a different country. And to me, that's like, again, when an immigrant, let's say an immigrant from Turkey, an immigrant from whatever country, out there, goes into your, Canadian neighborhood or your U.S. town neighborhood, and all of a sudden, they're choosing not to assimilate. They're choosing to do what they want. And, one thing is when there's a large group of the same immigrant, and they kind of just change things because there's so many of them. And there's another difference when there's just one of you. And so, I get it. There are areas where there's a lot of Americans and Canadians, these expat enclaves, where there's neighborhoods and areas where there's just all Americans, all Canadians, whatever. And it's all over Mexico. And in those areas, things kind of change to cater to the neighborhood that is now gringified. Okay. But, if you're just a gringo, a simple, normal gringo, okay? It just might be you and your wife, or just you and whatever. And you're in kind of like in the middle of Mexico, nowhere, just in a normal part of Mexico. Yeah, no, it's not gonna end well if you're trying to change things, and especially if you're trying to change things for your benefit and their detriment. Okay, meaning that it's just there's a mentality that a lot of people have out here. Have when they come out here, and they just think that all this is about them. It has nothing to do with you, okay? Like I said, the Gringo Price, the Gringo Tax happens to everybody, okay? It happens to, you can be African, okay? Blacker than black. You come out here, and it can happen to you, okay? And that's not a gringo, okay? So that's the thing. I think a lot of people just have to learn that it's a new culture, learn and assimilate to the new way of doing things out here for them. And again, either, what's the word I'm looking for? Either you learn how to, assimilate, or you just end up going back home. And there's a lot of people that come out to Mexico and they'll never learn to assimilate because they refuse, to now, they refuse to now have to change their ways in order for things to run a little smoother. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, you're in another country. It's another whole thing. So, all right, real quick, let's just go to the chat, and I want to see. I see 40 people have voted so far, and I asked a question: has the Gringo Tax or the Gringo Price ever been applied to you? 55% say yes, and 45% say no. So I guess that's like 22 people said yes and 18 people said no, or something like that. Math is not my forte. So, and like I said, I've been Gringo Price. My wife has been, price gouged, however you want to call it. This happens, I feel, to everyone, and it can happen to you anywhere. It's not just here in Mexico. So let me read the chat, see what you guys have to say. Please, if you guys would like to share, your own story, as to how you got Gringo taxed or Gringo priced, let us know, and you can keep it short in the chat, and we can share with everybody. Kirk Madre says Gringo pricing on real estate rental or purchases seems to be a big thing in Puerto Vallarta, and Playa, and yes, even in Merida, and just about anywhere. So yeah, that's good. So Kirk, that's another thing too. So Kirk is talking about the Gringo pricing on real estate. Again, look at what I have on screen there. Okay, that is going to determine a lot as to what prices you're going to get on real estate. And so this is why I recommend that you have to go on ahead and do some of your own homework. Okay, you got to check out what the prices on these properties are on your own before meeting some of these people. There are ways to find out the actual price. Some you might have to hire a Spanish-speaking translator to maybe speak on your behalf and represent you, so that the person renting or selling think that they're renting or selling to another Mexican. All right, so you can get that price, all right, that they're gonna get, and then once you show up, well, now they got to honor that price, or you can just leave and go and find something else. It's not a big deal. So those are things that you might have to do. Also, set yourself up with what is it, like what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, a reliable realtor. Reliable people, which again, they're hard to find. Why? Again, they're not going to just, it's not going to be like, can I? You're not going to just go to Google and ask Google, can I get a reliable realtor? And they're going to give you a reliable realtor. You have to do your own homework and find out which of the reliable realtors, reliable companies, reliable whatever. Okay. And some of these places, the more, look, this is how you know when they're reliable or not. Simply, or if they're going to give you a Gringo price or not. You got to go to properties, okay, that already have a price on them. So because that's another tactic that they use. I'll put a property on Facebook Marketplace or one of these websites, and they'll put it with no price. And if you're calling and you're Gringo, or you have broken Spanish or whatever it is, or you might even have an accent from another part of Mexico or Latin America, they might give you one price. Okay, and if you're calling as a local and they know you're a local, they might give you another price or not rent to you at all. It just depends. So stay away from advertisements that are in English. Stay away from advertisements that don't have a price. Okay, these are kind of common sense things that you have to kind of do your due diligence on. But long story short, there are ways to avoid that. Okay, because look, the place that I'm renting right now. Okay, like I said, I paid $350 in rent for a 2-bedroom house. Okay, now if I was a Gringo, okay, and I didn't know how to manage a situation, and I didn't speak any Spanish and yada yada yada, I might be paying $6,000 whatever. So I might be paying $700 for this place, okay, or $650 for this place, okay. So that's a big thing. That's a big variable there. When I was negotiating to get this place, I spoke Spanish and I had my Yucatecan wife, my local wife, and that helped a lot. Okay. And it also was many years ago. So therefore, even back then I was paying a lot less. Back then when I first rented this house, I was paying $250. Okay. Yeah, that's right. $250 a month. All right. But because of inflation, because of the, rent increases, so many other variables, it has gone up to $350. In fact, I got to remind myself that now the dollar is 1 to 20 basically. So it's not $350 anymore. My rent has gone down to $300. So that's what my rent is right now, around $300 as opposed to $350 a few months ago. All right. So there's all these little things like that. Sometimes a price increase, has more to do with the exchange rate, okay? Or has more to do with other factors, okay, that have nothing to do with the vendor, okay? Or Gringo pricing or anything like that. It has more to do with the value of the US dollar or Canadian dollar losing value, okay? Each and every day. The Mexican peso getting stronger, inflation, demand. That's another thing too. A lot. Okay, so most of the Mexicans that are buying property, okay, meaning, land to develop property, whatever it is, in Merida, where I am right now, are Mexicans from other parts of Mexico. not locals. Very few locals are purchasing. It's like 85 or 80% of all the purchases are coming from other Mexicans in other parts of Mexico. So the same for Puerto Vallarta, the same for all these other places. And so a lot of times, you'll go to these places, and you think that you're getting price gouged, or you think that you're getting a gringo price, but no, that's the price. And you might not be able to afford it, but another Mexican can. Another Mexican from another part of Mexico can. And that's another thing that is hard to wrap your head around for many Americans or Canadians, because they're like, wait a minute, how come I cannot afford it? I come from the richest country in the world. And this Mexican can afford it. In fact, he can pay cash. The fuck? So that's another thing that a lot of people have trouble wrapping their heads around. The fact that, yeah, there's many Mexicans, many Mexicans that have a lot more money than anyone in the audience right now. Okay? Straight up. You get to see it in this city. When you go to the north, when you go to certain areas, you really get to see the money. When I was in Guadalajara, I was like, wow. Okay. And, someone left in the comments in one of my videos recently saying that, there are neighborhoods where, the rent is like, 20 or 40,000 pesos, which is, 1,000, okay, or $2,000. And really quickly, other Mexicans are like, bro, that's nothing. There are neighborhoods, there are privadas, AKA, private neighborhoods, whatever, where the rent is 100, 120, 140, okay, a month, okay? And 100 is $5,000 right now, okay? So 120, whatever, 140, that's like $5, $6, $7, $8,000 American. And there's plenty of Mexicans that can afford to pay that. You might not be able to afford to pay that. In fact, shit, you're not even paying that much in the U.S. right now. So, that's another thing. Mexico has money. Mexico is like the 10th or 11th richest country on earth, okay? Riches in meaning in the power of the economy, the people working the economy, just everything about the economy, just the whole thing, okay? And that's what's counted. Remember what I told you guys earlier, 75%, 80% of the actual economy is informal, meaning it's not counted. It's just cash. It's a cash system. So if Mexico's already one of the richest countries, okay, on all these levels, okay, and that's just what they can count, okay, and that's only like 25% of what they can count, and there's still 75% that they can't count. Imagine how rich this country really is. And it also puts into perspective how poor our own countries have become. And it's all an illusion. Remember, we're talking about this in depth, many times on this channel and on my other channel. If you guys want to, join me over there later on today, as soon as I'm done with my live stream here, I take a little break, a few minutes, and then we go live over there on my other channel, Jose Unleashed, and we go really in depth into many topics that, well, I just cannot talk about on this channel, for too many reasons. I tried and it did not end well. So that's why I have another channel. I put the link in the chat and in the description and the comments. But anyways, you can go over there and you can really see and hear, what I have to say. Again, check out, some of the live streams I've done in the past. We're talking about what we're talking about today. All right. Again, by the way, I try to keep it lighthearted and funny, okay, as much as I can. But last week we celebrated my birthday. This week we're talking about why does everyone have an opinion no one asked for. We talk about politics a little bit here. We talk about football. I don't know. No one cares about that. We talk about everything, okay? Being a sheep, getting out of the matrix, whatever, okay? So anyways, join me over there if you enjoy these conversations. You want to go even deeper than what we're doing right now, okay? So I put the link in the description, in the chat, and I hope to see you guys there. But anyways, back to what we were saying. At the end of the day, I forgot what I was saying. I lost my train of thought. Let me go back to the chat there. But yeah, there's a lot of demand, okay? And at the end of the day, capitalism is about supply and demand. And, there's not necessarily enough supply of the high-end stuff, you know what I mean, that people want, high-end everything, because it's not just properties and real estate, it's high-end everything. And there's a large demand for high-end everything in Mexico right now. And, there's plenty, there's not enough supply. And there's plenty of people that are more than happy to pay that premium, even though you might not be able to pay that premium. Or if you try to keep up and pay that premium, you're going to find out very quickly, how much money Mexicans actually make and how much little money you have been making. Now, again, this is not for everybody. I know a lot of Americans and Canadians that come out here and they got money, but there's a lot of people that don't have anything. And then all of a sudden they're trying to live, better than the typical Mexican, which is, doing better than the typical American, just back home in the USA. But I digress, all right? Let's, by the way, if you enjoy some of my catchphrases, you want to help support the show in some way, somehow, you can go to my store, okay, all the way at the top here, right next to the digital nomad jobs, you see right there? You see a little cute little Cheems, with a little costume on. Click on him. It'll take you straight to the store, and you can, buy a t-shirt. I digress t-shirt if you want, or whatever. Anyways, all right, enough shameless plugs. Back to, let's read the comments, see what you guys have to say here. Shout out to everyone. Officer Mills says, I'm Jamaican, speak a little Spanish, and make friends quickly. I get the familia price. Awesome. Don't ask what I pay for rent. You won't believe it. No, yeah, awesome. He said, that's another thing, too. Again, a lot of it has to do with your demeanor and how nice you are, how good of a person you are. That's another thing, too. Basically, again, going back to this meme, it's not just no español, we're going to, the price went up. It's basically bad attitude, you're going to get charged more. You're not friendly, you're going to get charged more. You're demanding, you're going to get charged more. Or not even, taken care of at all. People, they have the right to refuse business, So, yeah, that goes a long way. What is it? You can get a lot more with sugar than you can get with shit, right? As the old saying goes. So, thanks for sharing that, Officer Mills. Hidden Knowledge says, I found that I get more respect in Mexico because I use my app to communicate. Oh, that's awesome. Even though I don't speak Spanish, people tend to treat you better if you show respect. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Look, we are immigrants, okay? Let's not forget that. We are immigrants in Mexico. Doesn't matter how long you're here or what you're here for, again, outside of tourism, but we're all immigrants, okay? And even if you're a tourist, you should still show respect. So what do I mean? Well, in the U.S., right, don't people always complain about all these immigrants? They don't speak English. They don't even make the attempt to speak English. So why is it that now you get to travel anywhere, all right, and you don't want to speak Spanish or French or German or whatever language that they speak there? Obviously, if you don't speak it well, but you're at least making an attempt, that's enough. That's enough for the people to, embrace you and be like, oh, look at this person. They're trying, let's help them out. They must be a lost tourist or someone obviously that needs help. And they'll help you. But if all of a sudden, you're out here and you're speaking English and you're refusing to speak the language and you are demanding that other people understand you, and how come no one understands me because I'm speaking English, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, no, listen, that's not going to get you far at all, okay? You're gonna find out very quickly how mean, okay, and, how they're going to be, how they treat people like that out here in Mexico and all over the world. I mean, try doing that anywhere else, and you'll see it's going to be the same thing. So, the thing is that when you visit anywhere, it doesn't matter where you're going, just try to make the attempt to speak the language. And even if all you're doing is using an application or a device to speak into, all right, and then all of a sudden, it spits it out in Spanish for them, that's wow. To them, they're like, wow, look at the effort this person is making. Let's, I'm definitely going to help out. And then another thing about Mexico, most people don't know, is that a lot of Mexicans speak English, okay? But it's more about, do they want to speak English or not? So again, if you are a nice American, a nice person out here, you're really trying to make the effort, you're going to find out very quickly if they speak English, they're going to just say, hey, Mr. or Mrs., look, I understand that, there's a communication problem here. It seems like my English, even though it's very bad, it is much better than your Spanish. So we can just speak English, and we can use the device and the app in order to just fill in the gap. And if you know some Spanish words, great, whatever. Okay. And so a lot of Mexicans, if you come up to them and you're speaking only in English, they're probably going to get insulted. They're going to be like, bro, who the hell is this guy? But if you're, like you speak broken Spanish, like, hola, ¿cómo está la biblioteca? They'll be like, oh, are you an American? It's like, yes. It's like, okay, good. I speak some English. Maybe I can help you find the library. And like, I'm not looking for the library. I was looking for the bathroom. Oh, good thing that I can speak some English. Okay, the bathroom's over here. Okay. You see? So, yeah, it's Mexico, just like anybody else, they don't like to get disrespected, okay? And that's like one of the ways in which a lot of people disrespect. Now, again, if you are in a only touristy area, okay, and you're just here as a tourist in Cancun or something like that, listen, the vendors are going to be speaking to you in English right off the bat. They're not even going to pretend, okay, to attempt, to have you speak in Spanish or anything like that. You know what I mean? They're just trying to sell you crap, okay, in the tourist destination. And that's the only place where they're not going to mind, okay? And they're actually prefer to speak English and get dollars or whatever. But, outside of the tourist enclaves, okay, which again, Mexico's a huge country, all right? Once you get out of the resort, once you move out, yeah, that's it. It's different. You better be speaking some Spanish, at least attempting, or it's not going to go well. And again, that has a lot to do with the gringo pricing as well, because again, if you barely speak Spanish, but you have a good demeanor about you, listen, they're most likely going to help you out and charge you the right price. But if you're only speaking English, demanding that they figure out how to communicate with you, you're not nice to them, you're treating them whatever, you're trying to haggle them, oh no, listen, they're not, it's not, again, they're going to be doing whatever they want. They're going to charge you whatever they want, communicating or not communicating with you, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so all right, let me keep reading some of these comments here. Melly W says, I know that I get gringo pricing for rent. However, I love my landlord, his family, and his employees. The prices I get in Mexico are by far way, way better than in the USA. So yeah, I mean, look, sometimes, when I was renting my first place, I paid like around $200 US, for the first place that I rented, a month, a little under that, but like around $200, right? And a lot of people were telling me, it's like, man, you're overpaying for this place. But I was thinking to myself, man, it's just $200. How much am I overpaying? And by the way, I would ask. And they're like, oh yeah, you're overpaying. And it's like, when I do the calculation, I'm like, bro, I'm overpaying $25. Come on. This is fine. Or I'm overpaying, $50. Like, this is fine. You kidding me? Back in the USA, I used to rent a room, for over $1,000, okay? And I'm here in a townhouse for $200. I'm not going to complain about a couple bucks here and there. So sometimes you got to pick your battles. And so obviously, I paid that rent, okay, more than happy. I was always early with my rent. I'm always early. And they love you. They love you to death. And so then all of a sudden, they're happy because they're getting paid a little more. You're actually a good tenant. You not only do you pay on time, you might pay early. You keep the house in good condition. I mean, you're a dream tenant. And then the good landlords, there are good landlords out here. They're gonna treat you like a king and be like, this guy's amazing. I gotta give this guy extra effort. I remember, like I said, in my old place, the guy he used to show up to my house all the time, to just to bring me food or bring me gifts. He was, because it was at a place that also had other people living around there. So he would come to, like, let's say, fix my neighbor's plumbing or whatever, right? And he would just come by and visit, very respectfully, hey, Jose, how you doing? Da, 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 da. Hey, I'm doing great, blah, blah, blah. Hi, Fernando, blah, 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 blah. The whole thing. And they're like, oh, look, we brought you some gifts, and they'll bring me, like, some pastries, they'll bring me some whatever, man, just all kinds of things like that, just random shit. And it was just so nice because he was so grateful and so happy and the whole thing. So, it is what it is, it's just a lot of these things, go a long way. Look, I know he wasn't bringing pastries and bringing, gifts to his other tenants, but it's just things like that. So again, some people, they don't mind, they're more than happy, like me, Mally, so many other people out there. It's totally fine, but some people, they get beyond insulted and upset that all of a sudden they're getting gringo price. I gotta pay an extra $25. What are you kidding me? What are you, when they're already saving like 80% on rent, and they're haggling over $25, which that $25 is a big make or break for the other person, so yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things like that. And let's see what other things you guys are saying here. Lee Martinez says, I get the Gringo Price every time I go to the supermarket in Texas. Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. Paul Mini Cooper, right? Is that your name? Paul? Or is it just Paul? Oh, I think it's just Paul. Paul says, Mini Cooper tail light out. Dealer wanted over $500 to replace. Refused service and found loose connector. No parts needed. Only 15 minutes of time. Dealer scams galore. Beware. Yeah. So not just dealer scams, mechanic scams. I mean, come on. This happens in the USA. It's hard to find a good mechanic or a good mechanic shop. And definitely if you go to the dealer, you already know they're going to charge you just for being in the dealer. So the same thing happens out here. And so even with my truck, I mean, you guys noticed that the last video I posted was a truck video. It's been over a year since I've really been able to post a truck video because, well, I couldn't find the good mechanic worth shit. And so a lot of it I had to basically fix myself. Fix with my friends David and Greg. We would join, get together when we had time. Basically more when I had time. And we would work on the truck, and eventually we got it back to running again. And it was simply because we would get scammed all the time by shitty mechanics, or many times they'll say that they can fix something and they don't fix something, and yada yada yada. But I'm already kind of keen to how things work out here, so I'm basically my last mechanic, I didn't even pay him. I mean, I ended up giving him some money. I gave him like 500 pesos because he was on that truck for 3 days. I was like, I gotta give the guy something, man. Come on, But I was very unhappy and very upset and very whatever. And he felt, unhappy and sad, that he was an older guy and he couldn't fix a truck. He didn't even want to take the 500 pesos, And that made me want to give it to him even more. It's like, hey, come on, man. Let me at least, pay you for attempting to try to fix the thing, So there's many, and there's other people that'll take that money and, with a big smile on their face, and they'll tell you to fuck off, in their mind, and not really care whether it's fixed or not. So there's levels to all this. And so, yeah, I mean, I would have done the same exact thing. I mean, in fact, I've done the same thing. I've learned, not just with the car, but with the house and so many other things. In fact, I'm very proud of myself now when I fix something that's way out of my wheelhouse. Again, recently I had to fix the water heater, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And when I opened the panel and I saw what was going on there, I was like, oh my God, this looks like a professional job. And I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to lose trying to just attempt to fix it myself. I've already kind of, learned, from others, all, throughout my years. So let me see what I can do. Long story short, I fixed it, and it is better than what it was before. Okay? The water is hotter. Everything's just better. And so it's like, man, anyways, I can go on and on that. Let me see what other things you guys are saying in the chat real quick. James says, what city, state would you say would be best to invest in property? It all depends on what you're looking for. Mexico, again, as you guys can see from all the images right behind me, Mexico is, a very, is varied ecological country. Just like, if you're asking me about the USA. Florida is very different than Washington State and California and New York and Connecticut and Texas and Wyoming and whatever. So it's like if you ask me right now about the U.S., it's like, hey, what would be a good spot? I'd probably say like Wyoming, but then you would tell me, it's like, I don't want to go to Wyoming. It's like, well, you asked me for like the best, whatever. So the thing is like this. You got to find out where you want to go, where you want to do business in, where you want the property in, and then, go deeper into researching that. Okay, don't be buying a property, somewhere where you're not going to be or be able to manage it, just so they can end up in a disaster later on. So, yeah, I'm not, that's not my, whatchamacallit, like my forte. All right, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not trying to sell real estate. I don't know anything about real estate, and I definitely don't know anything about investing or investing in properties or this or that. Every state is different. Every city is different. There's just so much to look into. You can find places, properties for $100 or hundreds of dollars, other properties for millions of dollars. So again, it all depends on what you're looking for, what you want, what kind of investment, what kind of this. So it's a very broad question. I really can't answer it, okay? Because it's like if you're asking me, hey, where would you invest in the USA? Well, depends on a million things, so yeah, I mean, I don't know, I would just do more homework on that if I were you, and And then, yeah, just start off at the very least, finding out where you want to move to and where you want to be, and then go from there. So, and if you're just looking to invest, well, then perhaps hire a financial advisor, or perhaps hire somebody that, went to school for that, or, that can manage your money better. Just, by the way, rule number one of having money is learning to manage your money. Okay, it's as simple as that. People that let money managers manage their money, and not knowing that many of these money managers live, they're it's just a job, okay? And they just live regular jobs, and they're trying their best. And obviously, if they were really good at managing money, they wouldn't just be, living in a shitty apartment, okay? But long story short, rule number one of having money is managing your own money, learning to manage your own money, and taking more control over that. So I don't know, I would go out there and ask advice, from others, that are more well versed on this. Maybe hire some consultants, professionals, whatever, and go from there. But again, I just don't know. I don't know what you're looking for. So you got to figure that out on your own. But yeah, there are many hot spots all over Mexico at the moment. Okay, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I can mention Mérida, Yucatan, and that might not be for you. You'd be like, oh, but I prefer to be out in the mountains. All right, well, we can go to the mountains, bro. I don't, so I don't know what to say. Anyways, Rodney Smith says, I picked up one of those devices for translation. Seems it worked pretty good. Still learning Spanish. Oh, awesome. Congratulations. Glad it worked out for you. Rodney Smith says, maybe I can get a roommate in Mexico. Yeah, maybe. But again, if your rent is going to be somewhere in like the $200 to $300 range, you can't afford that. If you get a roommate, most likely you'll be paying like $50 or $100 in rent. But honestly, the only place I would recommend anyone even attempt to get a roommate would be somewhere like Mexico City, just because of how expensive Mexico City is, and how space and property and housing is at a premium there. So yeah, maybe there, but other than that, if you're coming to Mérida, why would you get a roommate? Unless you're looking for company, but that's another story though. So Officer Mills says, when thinking about where to go, where to invest, don't think about what you're running for. Think about what you're running into. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, investing is a completely different animal. You know what I mean? And so if you're just looking for a property to invest in, to flip to this, to that, that's one thing. If you're looking for a property to live in, that's another thing. If you're looking for commercial, that's another thing there too. If you're looking for residential, if you're looking for Airbnb, there's another thing, so there's many things. So, but yeah, I think that about covers it. Let me see. But yeah, so at the end of the day, back to what I was saying, the whole idea of the Gringo Price is there's so many variables to it, and the best way to really be able to avoid it is to just, again, go back to using common sense, and learning what the prices really are, learning the language, learning the customs, the culture, shopping around, shopping away from the touristy areas, from the expat enclave areas. Again, going back to this meme is very, very important. Okay. All right, because basically, if you go up to anyone in Mexico and you say no español, English only, yeah, that's it. You're just opening up the floodgates, for the price to go up immediately. All right, so it's just as simple as that, because why not? They're charging you now a premium for just the fact that you refuse to learn the language. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to charge you a little more, because, well, now we got to make more of an effort, in a sense, in order to, make this happen for you, the foreigner, whatever. I don't know. So, but anywho's, all right, guys, I think we've covered this topic extensively. Let's go back to the poll. 54 votes. And basically, has the Gringo Tax applied to you? Has the Gringo Tax ever been applied to you? 52% say yes. 48% say no. So it seems like it's pretty much split down the middle. Again, I have been Gringo Price. My wife, that's Mexican, from Mexico, born and raised, has been Gringo priced and gouged. I know other Mexicans that, they've got scammed, gouged, whatever. I know plenty of gringos, expats, foreigners that have also gotten, taken advantage of. And it's basically all boils down to you. A lot of it boils down to you. Because again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. All right. So you got to keep that in mind as well. And if this happens to you in your home country, if this happens to you in USA, Canada, whatever, what makes you think that it's not going to happen here? Okay. So you got to just keep all that in mind. And also, again, understand that you're in a different country with different rules and regulations and laws. And, the way the economy runs out here is very different. For many people, for many businesses, there's no accountability. It's more about, how they survive is through word of mouth. And so, they try to do the best job possible just so that, they can, keep their, good name in the town or their area. All right. And people keep coming there, and that's why they do good business. All right. But again, other businesses or other people, they do whatever they want. And sometimes they stay in business, sometimes they don't. It just depends on so many things, but it's all up to you and, you being able to develop and use your own survival skills when it comes to, learning the language, haggling, not haggling, knowing what the actual price is. There's so much more work that you got to do. And it's not going to, remember, there's a reason why things are easier in the USA and Canada. Okay. All right, because it's all part of the control aspect, okay? Where, they make it easy and comfortable for you, but that comes at a price of freedom. So out here, it's not as easy, but you got more freedom, okay? So it costs you, again, that you have to do a little more work. It's a little bit more inconvenient sometimes. It's a little bit more of a pain in the ass, but you got a lot more freedom attached to that, okay? And you have more competition, and you got more choice, okay? In the USA, it's the it's the illusion of choice. Out here, not so much. Out here, you actually have more, to choose from, and it's just, again, the thing works very different. Worst case scenario, you can fix it yourself. You try to fix something yourself in the USA, and the wrong person finds out, and before you know it, you got the inspector in your house, telling you that, you fixed the water heater wrong. And you're like, well, what did I do wrong? Oh, well, you didn't get a certification. Oh, you didn't, get approval from me. So that's why it's wrong. Yeah, so you're not, that's like, it doesn't exist out here. So, but it is what it is. So, but anyways, with all that being said, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this bad boy up. I think we've talked about this topic enough. It is what it is. I got to take a little break so that I can go live on my other channel. Okay. Again, for anyone out there that wants to join me today. All right. You guys want to have some more fun and, talk about something more, a little lighthearted and, more entertaining, please join me over there. And, I hope to see you there soon. I'm going to go live a lot quicker. All right. I'm going to go live in, 30 minutes or less. All right, so I got to change the time on that. Let me see if I can change the time on it right now. So that way, you guys are not waiting forever. All right, so I'm going to change the time on it right now, real quick. Even those things taking forever. Yada, yada. But anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys showing up on Thursday. Not just this Thursday, but every Thursday. And if you guys want to show me some love, again, I know some of you guys send me donations, send me, some love, you buy a t-shirt, whatever it is. But for those of you guys that, have nothing to give me, but want to give me something, look, the least you can do is go to my my other channel over here, Jose Unleashed, and subscribe. That's something you can do for free, and it would really help me a lot, okay? It would really greatly help me a lot. And we're really close to getting this channel monetized, the new channel. So please, go on ahead over there, subscribe, watch a video or 2 or 10 or whatever. And that would make me very happy, okay? It makes me very happy when you guys go over there and show me some love So again, thank you so much, all of you guys out there. I really appreciate it. You already know the deal. Again, I want to give a big shout out to all my members, all my patrons, every single one of you guys out there that helps out the show. You know who you are and you know what you do. Thank you so much. I love you guys beyond what I could express here, and I appreciate you guys as well. And I got a special surprise video coming up on Sunday. Okay, we are doing a follow-up. Okay, with one of your favorite YouTubers out there. I'm doing a follow-up with, how do I say this? One of my more popular videos on this channel. That you guys really enjoyed, so I'm doing a follow-up with that person, and that's on Sunday, and I'm going to be dropping that then. And you already know, every Thursday and every Tuesday we also do videos here. So on Thursday I go live, and on Tuesday I try to drop some video, whether it's just a walking video, just walking on my own, no sound except the ambient sound, or an interview or whatever. I try to do videos on Tuesday, but every single Sunday and Thursday. Every Sunday and Thursday, without missing, without a hiccup, you're going to always have a video here. Again, Thursdays we go live. Sundays I drop an actual video. And depending on how my week went, I'm trying to drop videos on Tuesday as well. Okay? So, in order for you to really know or find out, when I'm dropping a video, or if you missed any videos or anything like that, it's always great. Wonderful idea to hit that bell icon so you're notified, but also just check on my YouTube page periodically. Again, you can see here in my YouTube page, just check on the page periodically, and you'll see, you can go to videos all the way at the top, and you'll see the videos that I've dropped, all of them. Okay, there's what I dropped the other day, it's from last Tuesday, and so on and so forth. All right, so they're all there in case you missed anything, and you can always find out more there, and you'll find out what's coming up, for live streams and all that stuff. So, please, use that to your advantage. So with all that being said, guys, I really hope to see you guys on, my, on Jose Unleashed in about 30 minutes, 25 minutes. And hope you guys are ready to have some fun over there as well. And again, thank you so much for going over there and liking and subscribing, that channel. And thank you so much for everything you do on this channel. So again, shout out to everyone out there. You already know the deal, guys. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Oh, wait, I got to play some music. I forgot I'm live. I'm not just doing a... All right, hold on. I got to manually do this. Bye, guys.